In my video where I went to Kanto to become a real-world Pokemon master, I made this claim: Pokemon centers can be very hit or miss. Just to give you two examples, Osaka's Pokemon Center is a hit. You have to wait in line for a while, but it's worth it because the place is huge. It was recently remodeled, so now it has a Koraidon bursting through the wall, and if you look hard enough, you can find some Osaka-only products. On top of that, it has everything Pokemon related. Just everything. Fukuoka's Pokemon Center is a swing and a miss. For starters, there's no giant, terrifying Pokemon destroying the integrity of the building like Koraidon or Kyogre. You gotta wait in line to get in, which is normal for most of them, but it's about the size of a Starbucks bathroom. So, in other words, it's a demi-sized Pokemon Center. I had to Google Starbucks cup sizes to write that joke. I want to go to and review all of Japan's Pokemon Centers eventually, but for this video in particular, we're going to drive to Hiroshima and check that one out. Besides the one here in Fukuoka, I believe it's the closest one, and I wanted an excuse to go eat some good quality Hiroshima food. Is the Hiroshima Pokemon Center a hit or a miss? Let's find out. For now, let's get on the road to Hiroshima. This time, the crew was considerably smaller, consisting of myself, Dave the Bulbasaur, and Maka. I promised her good food and lied about going to the Pokemon Center. We left at night, so once again, there's no interesting footage. It was raining, so that's different. After work, I picked her up near the train station. We got McDonald's, and pickles again. I really can't. At least she was happy. This is only a 4-hour drive, much easier than the 11-hour drive to Kanto. Being this close is why I chose Hiroshima's Pokemon Center to kick off this series. After hitting the same stop as the last video and trying a better potato chip, we arrived in Hiroshima around midnight. We stopped at a convenience to get shampoo, and this small convenience store was pretty cool. It had the Master Sword and Rayquaza. Just like last time, we planned nothing for the first night, so we had to find a place to stay. I've been to Hiroshima a few times, and for some reason, every time I come, I never get a hotel. I've stayed in bars until they've closed, slept in karaoke boxes, and one time camped in the smallest car I had ever been in with two of the largest human beings I had ever met. My experience in Hiroshima is that of a homeless drunk, but this is probably my favorite city in all of Japan. I can't really put it into words, so I hope to show you some of Hiroshima's beauty in this video. Ultimately, we decided to stay here. That's right, a net cafe, with all-you-can-eat soft-served ice cream. These are pretty well known for substituting as cheap hotels. We got the wide room, which was about as wide as a Starbucks bathroom. The padding on the ground was surprisingly comfortable. We got ourselves some drinks and corn soup, but to my dismay, the ice cream machine wasn't available after midnight. Pickles on my burger and no all-I-can-eat ice cream? This trip has so far been a disaster. However, I did not have time to fret, as I was overwhelmed by choice. There were seemingly a million different volumes of manga. Every genre and every artistic style of Japanese comic books surrounded me. Manga that I recognized from television, and things I had never even seen before. Things I couldn't even fathom. The options were endless, and I felt like my head was going to explode. I don't usually read manga, but you know, when in Rome. I got decent sleep. In fact, it was almost a full night's sleep. It was weird. I woke up, and I wasn't in a rush. We had 2 entire days to spend in Hiroshima, and the only goal I had in mind was the Pokemon Center. Anything else was a bonus. We ate breakfast at an American-themed restaurant. I had a grilled cheese sandwich. It was pretty good. But it was the first time that 1, I had a grilled cheese for breakfast, and 2, I had a grilled cheese with wheat bread. That's right, I'm 30 now. With that out of the way, we were set to make our first stop, Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. On the way, there were times when I'd find signs of the Pokemon Center, but I had to hold back my excitement. I'd have plenty of time to spend there later. We did end up wasting a lot of time looking for cheap parking, ultimately getting pulled over by the police because Dave wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Actually, it was because we were driving down a one-way road the wrong way. A lot of cities I've traveled to have trams, which I'm always fascinated by. Fukuoka doesn't have them, so when I go to a city that does, I get pretty excited. But I'm not some kind of train boy, okay? I'm not obsessed with trams or trains or anything like that. I don't want to see any tram boy comments. I want to keep that comment section real clean and real squeaky clean, all right? This area of Hiroshima is beautiful. One of the first things we found was a small ferry taking people to Miyajima, which we were planning on going to later in the day. I think I maybe took too much footage of the boats, but hey, I'm not some kind of boat boy. I don't have an addiction to boats. I don't want to see any boat boy comments, alright? Thank you in advance. At the Peace Parks in both Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they have these origami strands that are made by Japanese students. A lot of students, especially those from Kyushu, take field trips here. All of this is to educate about peace. Each link of the origami strand is considered a prayer and a wish to never have something like this happen again. I've been here 3 times now, but I've never gone to the museum. We decided to go. It was only 200 yen, and it's more than worth it. There's not a lot that I can or want to say about the museum in a video where I'm going cuckoo for Pokemon puffs. I think this is a great place to go to educate yourself about the horrors of humanity. Coming out of the museum, there is a long hallway and everyone is silent and reflective. The pictures that I saw and the stories I read were heart-wrenching. I'll probably never forget them. The museum and park are beacons of hope and peace, and I highly recommend coming here if you ever visit Japan. And there's no real appropriate way to transition. After this, it was time for a good lunch. It was getting a bit late, and some of the places were closed so they could prepare for dinner. We specifically wanted okonomiyaki, which is a Hiroshima specialty. Okonomiyaki is considered a food from Osaka, but in Hiroshima, they add noodles, which gives it enough flair and texture to take it to the next level. This led us here. It's hard to imagine that only 30 minutes before this, I was reading horrific stories of war. This was a busy, tiny restaurant run by 2 dudes who couldn't speak English. But I think 8 or so out of the 10 customers were foreigners. They seemed pretty ecstatic that we could speak Japanese. Okonomiyaki, when done right, is my favorite Japanese food, and watching the 2 dudes work as a tag team was beautiful. This okonomiyaki was inexpensive and delicious, and the 2 dudes were friendly. They said that they've been around for 11 years. I'll be sure to come back here next time I'm in Hiroshima. And with our bellies full of cheese, noodles, and cabbage, it was finally time to go to the Pokémon Center. Like most Pokémon Centers, it's located in a massive shopping center. This one was on the 6th floor. The escalator ride felt like it took ages, especially because this is one of my favorite Pokémon Centers. That's right, I've been here before. This center's mascot is the red-ish Gyarados, and when I first saw it a couple years ago, I was so excited. At this point in time, I didn't know that most of the centers had beautiful and giant statues. Look at how happy I was. So unaware. So ignorant. I couldn't wait to meet my old friend again. It had been too long. Well, damn. Damn it. I was hoping that I could edit this leisurely and put it out in January, but there's no hiding it. This was filmed around the holiday season. Also, what did they do to my poor boy? I've never seen such blatant Christmas consumerism propaganda. Anyway, let's go buy some cool shit. The outside of this center has a giant yellow wall with some of Paldea's Pokemon. It wraps around to the waiting area for the elevators, but I was kind of self-conscious and didn't want to ask people to move so I could get video. When I first came here, I found a little Wooper on the wall, but now he's missing. Instead, I walked into the Pokemon Center and started looking around. You heard that right. I walked right in. There was no wait time. That's already put this center up into hit territory. I was giddy like a child in a Pokemon Center. Because this was a couple of weeks from Christmas, they were selling a few tree ornaments. Also, Pokemon is celebrating Gold and Silver's 25th anniversary. They had a silver Lugia, and I've seen a golden Ho-Oh online, but it wasn't here at this time. Had it been, I probably would have bought both. I had saved a pack in Pokemon TCGP to open once I got into the center. I thought that maybe it'd give me some good luck. Maybe I could finally get that second Wartortle. Okay, yeah, whatever. My streak of bad luck continued. We were only here for maybe 3 minutes and Maka had already left. This left me alone to get footage of everything. Since Alex couldn't join us this time around, I promised her that I would look for a Wingull plushie. I went to the Pokemon Fit plushie area because there's always a chance that, oh my god, it's Wooper. Wooper is my favorite Pokemon, and I've been on the hunt to get one of these forever. The light shone down on his whoopy goodness, and once I finally got over being starstruck, I grabbed him. Move over, Dave. I have a new traveling Pokemon pal. Also, I forgot to look for Wingull. Sorry, Alex. Get whooped! I spent the next hour getting footage and fretting over what I should buy. I personally love plushies, so I wanted to buy more, but I didn't want Maka to make fun of me. I considered picking up a happy bag, which is basically a mystery bag full of TCG related goods. There were random card sleeves, deck boxes, and playmats. But with my current streak of bad luck, it was best to walk away. This center also had someone dressed up like a Pokemon professor. I didn't know that this was a normal thing. I had been tempted to buy TCG related goods twice, but I had to remain cool. In general, I usually go straight for the plushies when I go to a Pokemon Center. I mean, look at this Venonat! So I have never really taken a close look at everything. This time I checked out the kids' school supplies. It was interesting to see how much of this I recognized since many of my students already have them. I have a Pokemon pen case similar to these, and I considered buying a new one, but these were way too Pikachu branded. On this side of the stationery wall, they had more expensive pens and such. I love a good pen, so I think this could have been a smart purchase. Right next to the stationery was more TCG stuff, and I had to resist. Once I get sucked into that hole, there's no climbing my way out. I've played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I collected Pokemon cards and played it online for about 3 years. These card sleeves were the coolest I have ever seen, and I almost wanted to start collecting again just so I could fill these with something. They were begging to be filled, and I could have been the man to fill them. The next area of the Pokemon Center was this collection, the Pokemon Peaceful Place. This is definitely one of my least favorite Pokemon products. I know they're supposed to be extra cute and fluffy, but they kind of look fan-made in a bad way. But that Rowlet do be looking at me with those adorable googly eyes. In my last video, Alex and Casey opted to only go for stickers. I had considered buying them some stickers this time as a gift, but I thought better of it. If they wanted stickers, they would have come. Get whooped! The center did have almost every Paldea Pokemon and most of the ones from Gen 1. I kind of regret not picking up a few of my favorites, but lesson learned. Next time, maybe. At the end of the center, it's mostly Pokemon themed snacks and food. I feel like that's pretty typical of any Japanese souvenir store. There are these cute small figurines and sets that you can buy. You can get them at random individually for about 1,000 yen, or buy the whole box to pick up the entire set for roughly 8,000 yen. I've only done this once, and I got lucky, getting an Umbreon. There was also a dragon set with Flygon in it, Flygon the Temptress. If there was an original Wooper in one of these sets, you can bet that I'd be buying it. I know that there is a Gigantamax Pikachu in this particular collection of toys, and it's one that I've been hunting for because I love myself a chunky yellow rat. I halfway consider myself lucky that he was nowhere to be found. When I lived in America, I loved collecting toys and figures. But that was because I always lived somewhere spacious. Every inch of my tiny Japanese apartment needs to be used appropriately for dirty laundry and clean laundry that I'm too lazy to put in drawers. If I buy one figure, I buy them all. I was beginning to panic. The burden of having to pick and choose what I could and should buy was weighing heavy on my beautiful shoulders. I looped around the center one more time and picked up everything that I chose to buy. I decided that I'd go for things that were being sold at this time and location only. I could buy pens, card sleeves, and cute figurines at any other time. As for the Silver Lugia, I would need a Golden Ho-Oh. We'll see what the future holds. With products in hand, it was time to line up. A giant Magikarp looked over me. I could feel his presence. He was a guiding light, telling me that I made the right decisions. And oh yeah, I guess I could give you an update on Casey's Magikarp jump journey. Casey ended up absolutely mastering the game. I had a 3-week head start on him, and I played every day, but even still, he managed to beat the game before I could. I haven't touched the game since I got this message. Anyway, I bought my products, and the sales clerk was super excited about Wooper, almost to the point where it got awkward. Wooper is my favorite Pokemon. You're gonna have to get another. Get whooped! I'll talk about what I bought near the end of the video. But for now, we had to rush to our hotel because I spent too much time at the Pokemon Center. We paid for an expensive dinner, and there was a chance that we'd miss it if we didn't dash. We were on the road and headed toward my favorite part of Hiroshima, Miyajima. Miyajima is a popular tourist destination. The first time I came here, it was absolutely packed, and driving around the port area can take a couple of hours. Since we came at night, there was nobody. You have to take a ferry to get to the island, and at this time, there was only one other person besides us. It was kind of haunting. Miyajima is sort of famous for having deer that roam the island freely, which was something I completely forgot. We ran into this guy, and I almost soiled myself. We got to our hotel, changed into yukatas, and went to get our expensive dinner. I've had quite a few buffets in Japan, and most of them are disappointing. Growing up in the Midwest, my standard for a buffet is Golden Corral. And I know that's not a great standard. but that is my standard. I want soggy pizza, dry mashed potatoes, and mac and artificial cheese when I eat at a buffet. Or just like a fuck ton of French toast. That said, this was not bad. We were able to get slices of beef cooked up fresh, and Japanese beef is pretty good. Miyajima is well known for its seafood, so Maka had a good time, while I ate like an American 5th grader. And a Japanese 5th grader. Also, there was beer, so I was pretty happy. We spent most of the day moving around, so after dinner and a couple more brewskis, we immediately fell asleep. On this day of the trip, the only thing that we had planned was to enjoy Miyajima. I could get some decent footage of the hotel. I took a bath in the onsen, and it was one of the most beautiful hot springs I had ever been in with a gorgeous view. I wish I would have brought my phone or camera to take some videos. I ended up being alone, so I actually could have taken some footage. Oh well. Take my word for it. We left the hotel and started to explore. Another popular treat on Miyajima is lemons. Because of this, I got a mulled lemonade with a little bit of alcohol. Who needs coffee when you have rum? We walked around the island for a while, and for the first time ever, I saw Itsukushima's shrine with water around it. I have only ever been here when the tide is low, so I've never seen the water this high. Also, when I came here previously, the torii gate was under construction. We got some good pictures, but I saw these people getting a tour on a small rowing boat. I promise, I'm not a boat boy. I immediately regretted not looking into getting a tour myself. Not because I'm a boat boy, but because I love this island so much. And if I knew that it was going to be possible to ride a boat through Itsukushima's torii gates, I would pay any amount of money to do so. I mentioned to Maka that I was bummed out that we couldn't ride the boat, and she looked at me like I was some kind of idiot. She told me that we could ride the boat. There was no exclusive list. You didn't have to make a reservation. We just had to buy a ticket and stand in line. I felt like a dum-dum, but all of that feeling of dum-dumness faded away as we stood in line. We got on the boat, and it was one of the most magical moments of my life. The guide started by telling us just how lucky we were to be able to ride the boat. Apparently, they can only do this if the weather conditions are good enough, and on average, they can only do it 10 days out of the month. Not only that, but the water level had begun to decrease, and we were the last people allowed to do the tour that day. He repeatedly mentioned that we were a very lucky group. And you know what? I felt lucky. I know that this trip started badly, with pickles on my burger. I know that I considered myself unlucky because I couldn't partake in all-you-can-eat ice cream. And maybe getting pulled over by the police was an omen of sorts. But when I look back on it, we ate at a great hole-in-the-wall okonomiyaki restaurant. I did find the Pokemon Fit Wooper that I had been searching for years. And the hotel had a wonderful onsen that I didn't take any footage of. This trip was full of luck, and there was nothing that could bring me down. This isn't foreshadowing, I promise. We rode through the torii gate and prayed as a group. He told us not to say out loud what we prayed for, you know, like a birthday wish. I was genuinely satisfied with our trip. It didn't matter that our parking was gonna cost 2,000 yen. After the tour, the only thing left was to enjoy Miyajima's food. We ate some omiji manju that the tour guide recommended, I had a non-alcoholic mulled lemonade, and then it was time to get back on the road and head home. There were a few more stops that I wanted to make before we got home. Specifically, 4. In some cities in Japan, there are special Pokemon manholes. They have cool Pokemon designs on them, and usually the Pokemon are sort of related to the city itself. I figured, if I'm gonna be doing a few travel videos, I could go to these cities, talk about them, and find the manholes. It'd be a good way to promote my Instagram, but once again, I had to lie to Maka to get her to do this with me. In between Hiroshima and Fukuoka is Yamaguchi. There is only one city in Yamaguchi, at the time of this recording, that has Pokemon manholes. And luckily for me, it's a city near and dear to my heart. Shimonoseki. This city is notable for its beautiful bridge connecting Kyushu and Honshu. Every time we drive over the bridge, it's nighttime, so I'm yet to get a good shot of it. Anybody I talk to acts like the only thing they eat in Shimonoseki is seafood, and the seafood I've had here is really darn good. We arrived at night and started to look for the manholes. The first 2 manholes were located relatively close to each other, and we found one with chinchou and quillfish. You can eat pufferfish here, so there's the connection. Right next to this manhole was an inexpensive amusement park. I told Maka that this is why we were here. She bought it. I wanted to get a beautiful night view of the city, so I wanted to ride the Ferris wheel. Maka was keen, but she wanted to play a few of the arcade games first. What followed was this. Yeah, I'm not gonna lock myself in a sky cage with this woman. You couldn't pay me. The second manhole was located about 15 minutes away from the amusement park on foot. It didn't stick out as well as the other ones, so we had a bit of a struggle to find it. But once we did, I was ecstatic. This one had Empoleon and Whalmer. Another thing you can eat here is whale, so dark. I did think this manhole looked the coolest out of the 4 on the website. The other 2 are located on Ganyujima, and unfortunately for us, we had no way to get there at this time. The small boat services had already finished, so if we wanted to go there, it was either swim or come back on a different day. I can't swim, so I guess I would just have to take the loss on this one. I tried to not let this eat away at me, because only a few hours earlier, I was soaking in just how lucky I was. So we went home. The remaining 2 manholes would have to wait. It is time to check what I got. Number 1, of course, is Wooper. I've been looking for a Wooper plushie like this for a very long time. You might recognize this Wooper from the set, but this is the Wooper that I've been looking for. This is the cheap Wooper that I found for like $1 at a different place. And this is the Wooper that I've been looking for many, many years. I am very excited that I finally got my hands on him. You just chill right there, buddy. You're going with me everywhere. Number 2 is, a handkerchief, a little hand towel. Because I work at a kindergarten, I wash my hands quite frequently, but I never have anything to like dry my hands off with. If I have this in my pocket, I can, dry my hands more easily. Also, it is of Johto, so it's of the Johto region. Let's see real quick. The Johto region. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. Sticking with the Johto theme, I have Moo Moo Milk socks, gold and silver socks. I really like socks because I'm 30. And Sprite socks, cute socks that I got. So I'm very happy with those. Sticking with the socks theme, as a peace offering, I got these socks right here for Maka. There's currently a Hisuian Zorua and Alolan Vulpix thing going on right now. I don't really know, but I thought it was really cute. Maka likes socks, so I went ahead, got her socks as a special thank you for joining me on the trip. As I've mentioned, I love to write, so I got myself a notebook. I collect notebooks. As you can see, a notebook is right here. It's one of the Scarlet Orange Academy notebook. When I see a notebook, I get really excited. I buy them. I can use this to write down a bunch of my ideas. I'm looking forward to doing some of that, so hopefully I can fill this thing up pretty easily. And last but not least, I wanted to get something that was only going to be from the Hiroshima Pokémon Center, so I got Nishikido Momiji Manju. So Momiji Manju is very famous in Hiroshima. It's sort of one of the Hiroshima snacks. Unfortunately, this isn't a thing that I could like put like on my wall or anything like that. It is food, so we're gonna eat this, kind of give it a go, and then do a little like, I guess, mini review on that. Maybe I'll make it into a short. I'm not quite sure, depending on the length of this video. But yes, this is a Hiroshima exclusive treat. Let's get a look at that box real quick. We got Pikachu, Pocket Monster, Pikachu, and it goes out on the 14th. So we have to eat this relatively quickly. So yeah, I'll be keeping the box as I do, because I'm a nerd. We're gonna eat the insides of this at some point. So yeah. So that is the end of that. I would say that the Hiroshima Pokémon Center is as solid as you can kind of get. No real wait time. No real specialty stuff, which is fine. There's this, but it's not really what you think of when you think specialty stuff. They got everything you want. So it's a solid Pokémon Center, and I had a lot of fun, and this is really nice. So I'm excited to do more of these. I think next is probably going to be Hakata, the one here in Fukuoka, because it's the closest one, and I can kind of show you an example of not so good Pokémon Center. Thanks for watching this video. I'm going to say this, and I hate to say this, but if you like this kind of stuff, subscribe. That's the first time I've ever said that, unironically. So yeah, subscribe. There'll be more stuff like this coming in the future, and if you watch the whole video, you'll know that there'll be more stuff of other varieties coming out in the future. So yeah, let's see what the future holds. For now, I'm gonna get some sleep with my new little buddy, Mr. Wooper. But I knew I couldn't leave the video like this. Look at this man. This man is in pain. He has the confidence of a man who wears white clothing, but the coordination of a 2-year-old. This man, even though he considered himself lucky, was missing something in his life. So 1 week later, I went back to Shimonoseki, rode that boat, and took pictures with the remaining manholes. We ate some good Shimonoseki food, and I finally got daytime footage of that bridge. I'm not a bridge boy. I just please don't write bridge boy. Please don't write.
Bridge boy, so happy with his whooper. Bridge boy.
I'm not a bridge boy.
Bridge boy.
You're a bridge boy.
Bridge boy. Look at him smile. Look at that little bridge boy. Happy to see that bridge.